What's up, homie? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I am just got everything set up, so we're live on YouTube in about now. I just need to go wipe my face, get a cup of coffee. I'll be back in like 2 minutes, and we'll wait for Dougie.
Sounds good. Thanks for
Awesome.
having me. Hey, Dougie.
Hello, hello, testing.
I can hear you. You're a little faint.
Yeah, let me turn this up.
Better. How's my sound? Oh, I lost you.
Testing.
Back. You're back. Yeah.
You
How's my?
excited? You ready for this?
I think so. I just came here to bring the people the truth, So,
You drinking today or no?
no, I've not had a drink today. Oh, but I could be
Yes.
in solidarity with you.
Can you
Yeah. Let me go grab
grab?
something from Pete's fridge. All right.
All right.
Um, how apropos that I'm gonna crack a beer at 9:30 a.m.
Oh, you're in LA.
I'm in LA.
Holy shit! So you're flying here tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna fly in a few hours to JFK, spend the night at Will's place.
Yeah.
He's probably going to force me to watch some YouTube playlists, and then I'm going to head to the Wilton House on Sunday.
That sounds like an enchanting evening. Actually,
Yeah.
I would join, but I need a day off from the city. I was just down there.
I'm not going to get
Um,
into New York till midnight, so yeah, you don't want to do
yeah,
that.
But
dude,
you guys,
the city is hot
Yeah.
this
you
week.
guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any questions, John?
Anything I need to know?
Doug, you just need to move your camera down or camera up because your head's cut. Like, there you go, perfect.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this bullshit, but yeah. All
It's
right.
better to get your face than that bullshit.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this is definitely not anyone's year. So,
No.
yeah.
No. That's why we have a special episode. So,
Yeah. Ready? You
you
guys
got,
ready to go?
yeah. Wait, hold on. You do the intro. Pass it to me. I guess I'll intro John. We'll talk about what we're drinking, and yeah, man. Let's freewheel it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We
Let's
don't
talk
have to
about.
get right into Huggy. That can be like the meat of the podcast, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit back and you guys take the lead
Yeah,
off,
we'll throw it to you when you're when we're ready to get into the Huggins details.
and it'll be exciting, and this will not be a
no. I'm going to pull you right in, John. So
Yeah,
you're going to
you should.
introduce
You
your
should.
drink too.
And you should definitely talk about sports with us.
or whatever, or movies or bullshit.
Yeah, whatever.
By the way,
we want
guys,
to talk about.
I'm honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
John's one of the few people who watches this show, so I think he gets it.
Yeah.
All right, ready? You guys ready to rock?
Ready to rock.
Let's fucking do it. Hello, and welcome to another episode of This Is Not Our Fucking Year.
I like
I'm
that.
I'm your host, Michael Curlin.
Wait, we need to get the logo changed.
Yes, well, it'd be like a one-time logo change. Like, this is not our fucking year. Douglas, my partner in crime. I'm just going to ask you what you're drinking today, because I know how you're doing, because you're not doing great, because the Mets fucking stink and their season ended probably 3 days ago, but then really come out of the break, fucking ready, excited. Maybe we won 6-8, even though we lost the last two. Maybe they just needed a little time off, a little break. Verlander on the mound. Yeah. Feeling good. And we get one hit at home because we fucking suck.
We fucking suck.
It's not our year, bro. It's not our year.
It's not our year.
Trade everybody.
Dude, honestly, like, I've been having such a good time this summer with everything going on, and between like some trips I took, and then like that West Coast trip where they were on real late, and then like the All-Star break. Dude, the Mets, they just faded for me, man. I've totally forgotten about them. And so like I like struggled to get like I Apple TV working on the iPad yesterday or last night, and I had it on mute, and I turned that off in the fifth inning. I knew where that was going. So
I haven't watched a game. I haven't watched the game like full start to finish since fucking May. I didn't watch last night. I just don't watch anymore.
Whatever. This is not about the Mets today, man. We have a special
Certainly
guest.
Not. We do.
So, real quick, I'm going to introduce what I'm drinking today. This is kind of funny because I didn't realize whose name was on the can when I bought it. I was just kind of looking for a strong beer. But this is Stone Cold Steve Austin's Broken Skull Double IPA, motherfucker.
Whoa.
From El Segundo Brewing. And the tie-in here is that we have John O'Keefe joining us he's not in Austin today, but from Austin. So shout out to Stone Cold, shout out to John. And I'm going to be drinking this lovely double IPA. And hey, John, dude, I was talking to you backstage, and I don't know how many people know this, but we have the same parents.
We do.
You guys are fucking related?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you believe it?
I did not know that.
How you doing, John?
I'm doing well, thanks. We do have theories that Doug might be from, the mailman or something, but we do share parents technically. So
I know if
happy to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
You're welcome, man. And speak up if you can. And I would agree with that theory if Meredith wasn't kind of like the same person as me. So
True.
But anyway, great to have you on. You're in LA today, this morning.
What a tie-in! Stone Cold and El Segundo.
El Segundo. Yep.
It was a hat tip to your brother.
I do it right, man. And John, in solidarity, is going to have a beer with me at 9:42 a.m.
That's right. By the way, first off, that Stone Cold beer, the double IPA, when he was on stage, he would usually like chug a Budweiser or something?
Yeah.
I think. It was a light beer.
I would like to see him try and chug the double IPA.
Yeah,
I would like to see you challenge him to chug the double IPA.
I don't want to mess
whoever loses gets the folding chair off the back of the head. Dude,
he had like a career resurgence in the last like 5 years, and he had some show on like the Travel Channel, and it was like he drove around and I only saw the commercial. I never watched the show, but he like drove around, and I don't know what the premise of the show was. Kind of like Stone Cold. I think he drove around on a Harley or something with his homies and just like got fucked up and ate food or some shit. I don't know. It seemed pretty. I'm sure it's still out there. I'm sure it's like top of the list of shows out in America.
I'm not a wrestling guy. Are either of you guys? Do you watch that shit? Like, sorry, not that shit. I shouldn't say that. I went to WrestleMania in like 1987, WrestleMania 2 or 3. I just lost it though. So is Steve Austin even? Does he even appear anymore? Or?
I think he shows up like once a year. I think he's got like one of those like retirement gigs where he comes out and gets the crowd all fired up and then
Yeah.
hits someone with a chair, chugs a beer, and then walks off the stage,
Well, cheers
I
to
could be
that,
wrong.
John. What are you drinking, by the way, John?
Yeah, so it's 9:30 a.m. here. Doug just peer pressured me to get a beer. I got a Cloud Break hazy IPA from Coronado Brewing Company.
Ooh.
7.3%.
Very nice.
I
And,
can't think of a more appropriate thing to do for what we're about to talk about today.
For sure. And I actually, my backup today is a Pocket Wrench hazy because I was down in Austin a couple weeks ago, right, John? And
That's right.
And he just fed me a steady diet of hazy beers, including the Makana hazy, which was very delicious.
Yeah, Doug loved that.
And what was the other one that was had like a floral can? And I was like,
that would be the company that makes jellyfish,
yeah.
Pint House.
Nice,
really
some good beer down there, but I guess that's obvious.
Yeah, Austin, a lot of good beer. I also heard recently we have the most drunk drivers in the nation.
Nice segue.
Makes sense. Can you still drive with an open container in Texas? No issues, as long as you don't blow, whatever the 0.8 or whatever 0.08 is.
I actually think you cannot. But what you can do is you can load as many people in the back of your pickup as you want and just whip them around on the highways. I think you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can be drinking.
And they're required to have open containers, I believe.
Yeah,
and you can also have your shotgun hanging behind your head while you're doing that.
Exactly.
Fully loaded.
Well, fuck yeah. I mean, can you do that here in Connecticut? You can have a gun rack, right? I don't know, actually.
Think so. I don't think so. I don't think anywhere in the country you can have a gun rack. Well, maybe North Carolina too. Funny story.
Thanks, Obama.
Funny story. Halloween at Lynchburg College one year. For those of you that don't know, on the East Coast, UNC has they used to 20 years ago. Who fucking knows? It's what's cool anymore, what's even legal anymore. But UNC used to have the biggest Halloween party on the East Coast, and people would drive from hours and miles away. And so we were in Lynchburg. We were 8 hours away, and someone had a buddy down there. We were driving in a Jeep. My buddy Rob's Jeep, top down to UNC for Halloween. And I don't know what we did. We must have cut. It was like a 2-lane road. We cut off a pickup truck. That's never a good idea. And they definitely had a gun rack, and they definitely caught up to us, and they definitely showed us their gun.
Damn.
And we drove faster, and nothing happened, but everything in North Carolina is as scary as it is in Texas.
Oh, you got a taste of the South. That was it was probably a formative moment for you, huh?
Yes,
the
lonely
movies
Jewish
are real.
Boy, the lonely Jewish boy in the South. Hey, boy. That was me.
Where you going, city boy?
If they had run you off the road, they would have really given you a taste of the South, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, you almost got easy ridered.
Pulled me into their cabin and showed me their ukulele and banjo.
Yeah, a little deliverance action.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I've still never seen that movie. Does anyone recommend it or no?
You've pretty much seen or heard the part that you don't want to see anyway.
Do I want to see naked Ned Beatty strapped to a tree and violated? I don't know.
It's a good, put it on at 1 a.m. after a night of drinking. Give you some good dreams. I want to disprove a myth. That movie is not set in West Virginia, just so you know. A lot of people think it is.
Good segue. Good segue.
That. Yeah, no, he's tried to give us 2 segues. Like he mentioned the DUI too. So John, you're a pro already.
Yeah. Well, guys, hearing you guys talk about the Mets and the way in and the pain I heard in your voices is palpable. And I'm also having a very painful year as a sports fan. So yeah, I don't give a fuck. I appreciate you guys having me on and hearing me out just for a little bit about an interesting tale about a man who is self-destructing.
This is one of the craziest stories right now, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
we alluded to this a couple of episodes ago. We talked about something that just became more relevant in West Virginia. And I still don't understand how this man, this myth, I don't know if I want to call him a legend, survived as long as he did. I mean, he must be part feline because he had 9 lives. So, John, let's get into it. Let's talk about Mr. Bob Huggins.
Mr. Bob Huggins.
Yeah, and hearing you all talk about the kind of events that happened a month ago or 3 weeks ago now, I was like, man, I would love to jump on and fill in some gaps. I am an avid West Virginia basketball fan. I was there for 2 years. I saw Pittsnogle and Gansey, and it really it sparked a flame in me that I can't put out. I went to UConn, and I'm not a UConn fan. I cheer for West Virginia basketball. Bob Huggins is a legend in my world up until about 2 months ago, and I cannot.
So all the other stuff he ever did was forgiven.
Up until May. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let's
until
talk
May.
about that.
Okay. Well, hold on. John, were you there in 2010, or had you moved on to UConn by then?
Moved on, but I went to the Elite Eight game where West Virginia beat Kentucky to go to the Final Four.
That's right, and that was up here, right?
That was up in Syracuse. That's right. There are some interesting tie-ins to the New York sports area in this story. A lot of players, a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
I'll try to weave in, but what I wanted to share today was just a quick timeline of the story of Bob Huggins. High-level bullets going through this guy's career, just so people. Listen, DUIs are not funny, right?
No. We don't want to make fun of alcoholism either.
No. What is, I think, worth poking fun at is someone who won't quit destroying themselves and the university that they represent. So I think these facts need to come to light, and people need to hear what this guy's doing because it's insane.
Well, let's start. I mean, are you going to take us back to like the Cincinnati days, or are we going to skip all that?
I think we should, because I remember some of that.
Yeah, so let's just breeze through the early days. So Bob's born in West Virginia, in Morgantown, where West Virginia is. All right, so he's born and bred West Virginia. He graduated from West Virginia University as a point guard in 1977.
I had no idea he played, let alone started as a point guard for West Virginia. Isn't that kind of like when you find out that Jim Boeheim was like actually a really good player, and you're like, "What?"
I didn't know that either. I was today years old.
He was like the wingman for Dave Bing.
Okay,
yeah,
look it up, kids. Anyway,
and Bob's a big boy. I met him in a parking lot once at a football game. He's like 6'3". He's definitely in underneath the giant obesity. There's a basketball player in there. He's probably weighs about 350 pounds, maybe close to 400.
Is that true? Is he that wide these days?
Okay, so that's actually a unsubstantiated fact.
Okay,
so let someone prove me wrong on that. All right, so he launches his coaching career in 1992. He takes Cincinnati to the Final Four. He starts his legend status. Yep. He's a relatively young guy at that time.
He had some great players,
he brought Cincinnati. It was an obscure program.
Absolutely,
it was kind of like what UConn was when Calhoun got there, right?
Similar to Calhoun.
So, yep. So
let's remember some guys real quick, man. Nick Van Exel, Danny Fortson, Kenyon Martin, right?
Yep.
Right, Mike. One of my favorite Nets of all time. I think
number one overall draft pick.
That's right.
Should have never not signed him.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you got swapped. Vince Carter basically you brought in, and Kenyon.
Not like for like Kenyon signed somewhere else. I think he signed somewhere else because
he was hurt too, right? Anyway,
he was. Yeah, whatever. Let's keep going. But we digress.
Bob continues a healthy winning streak. Starts to build a reputation for bringing on players that have bad academics, or he's got a really great defensive mindset on the court. Really physical style of play. People start to call him Bob Thuggins, which I think is a little inappropriate.
Yeah, but those teams were fearsome. You didn't want to run into them in the tournament.
Exactly. So he continues a pretty successful career until 2005. Bob gets pulled over for his first known, recorded, convicted DUI.
This is in Cincinnati still.
In Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So actually, I was reading up on this. Apparently, he had been pulled over by the same two cops a few years earlier, but they let him go. But the second time,
karma.
Yeah,
they put him through a field sobriety test. I just want to call out a couple things that happened, and this is all on tape. You can look this up. We got the dash cam footage. He staggered out of his car, couldn't keep his balance during the sobriety test, asked to recite the alphabet from the letter E through P. Huggins said E, F, G, H, I, K, L, N, Z. According to the police report.
I'm going to drink to that.
He was asked to count backwards from 67 to 54. He counted from 62 to 52.
Okay, so I don't want to jump ahead, but what happened a few weeks ago is not an isolated incident, or a few months
I'll
ago.
let
Yeah.
the audience
Anyway,
come to that conclusion.
right.
But there's a pattern here.
Well, you got to think like the guy got pulled over, and I don't know. You can maybe you can answer this. Like I just picture from everything I've seen of Bob Huggins, and I watched from afar that the first time he got pulled over, he'd probably like similar to Mel Gibson, who also was on dash cam, and you can go back and look at it like, you know who the fuck I am? I'm fucking Bob Huggins. Blah 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 blah. And they probably were like,
Actually, no.
on the first one where they let him go. That's my guess.
No, so
Yeah.
he was cooperative apparently. Like he just failed the test, but he sat in the back seat and looked at his feet. Apparently, he was like, "Don't do this to me."
Oh.
So he was remorseful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is there any info on where he was coming from?
That's a good question. Ask me that again in 5 minutes. I don't know where he was coming from for the Cincinnati one.
Okay.
Moving on. So Bob gets fired.
Well, hold on. There's one thing I read in his wiki today that I want to mention about that.
Okay.
Apparently, the news broke on the morning of like the new Cincinnati president's like introduction speech and like Coretta Scott King was like the guest speaker or something.
Yeah.
And so that really, really pissed the president off. She was like, you ruined my fucking like he stole the spotlight. So anyway,
that's actually a really good point for what we're about to talk about later. There's a constant struggle between him having more or as much power as the university president, because he's so rich. He's got a huge network of donors that pay the university money. So,
and honestly, like a lot of college football coaches, I would say have more power, right?
Yes.
Is it like Nick Saban's the most powerful guy in Alabama?
100%. Oh, Bob Huggins is by far the highest paid public employee in West Virginia.
Like more than the football coach, who I can't even remember right now.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah, that football coach is small potatoes compared to Bob. All right, so power can get you out of DUIs, but not this time. No. Bob's fired due to what you just said. The president hates him. He goes to Kansas State for a year until he comes back to his alma mater, West Virginia, in 2007.
So hold on, was there a year off in there anywhere, or was it like?
It was a year off. Yeah, I think it was a year off.
So it was like 2005 he's fired, 06 he's off, 07 in Kansas State, 08 he shows back up in West Virginia.
I completely forgot about the Kansas State job, by the way. Did you remember that, Mike?
No.
Yeah. No. Wildcat to Wildcat.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Bob comes back to West Virginia, and he's an absolute
Bearcat to Wildcat. Bearcat to Wildcat.
Yeah. And we'll come back to that in a moment. For the next 10 years, he's pretty clean. He gets suspended a couple of games for using profanity in the practice room. I don't have the exact words he said, nor do I want to repeat them, but I'm sure it was something very offensive and awful. But he has looking back, I would call a so-so winning record at West Virginia. He had some really cool spurts where he implemented the full court press for a couple years, which was one of my favorite couple years of basketball. He kind of like broke the league a little bit.
Yeah, speaking of nice to play against, man, yeah.
Yeah, they had to institute new rules, like the cylinder rule, to ensure that Bob Huggins couldn't just come in and foul everyone constantly, basically. So
is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they changed.
So what is the cylinder rule?
You know that, you know how there's a I think I might be wrong, but is it the one that's under the basket, or is it the rule about like the free for the?
I'm just going to look it up,
the
boys.
key.
So it's around a player. Imagine there's a cylinder that goes.
Never mind.
Infinity.
Yeah. That's two things I've gotten wrong in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, you can't like reach in there.
Yeah.
And but yeah, Mike, if you can look it up, that'd be great. But basically, they implemented it after Press Virginia.
It's funny that the first article is from the Cincinnati Enquirer from 2016. College hoops players must mind the cylinder this season.
And by the way,
cylinder is an area for the offensive player to start a basketball play, which is either start a shot, a dribble, or a pass. It's designed as the hip area, the rear, and the space in front of the offensive player where his elbows are bent and he's holding the ball in front of him. If the defensive player invades that cylinder or if there's any contact under the offensive player clearing out that space, foul's on the defender. Seems lame, but okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
It ruined Press Virginia, and then Bob had to go back to he always was recruiting kind of like junkyard dog type players that were not nationally recognized as recruits. Apparently, like there was very little pay for play going on, unlike the major programs in the world, like the Blue Bloods.
Really? Yeah, he wasn't very corrupt?
No. Which is also an interesting part of the story. So he was pretty above board in that regard. Like the whole university was. There was years where I was just like, man, why can't we just cheat like everyone else?
Right.
So anytime we did anything, it was like really special, right? And made it Sweet 16, whatever. Okay. So he's pretty clean. And he actually makes it to, we're going to zoom out to 2022. Oh, wait, sorry. April 2010, he makes it to the Final Four with West Virginia. I need to mention that. 2 months later, Bob falls through a Vegas hotel coffee table and breaks 7 ribs.
I do not remember this.
I don't either.
Wow.
But I'm guessing sobriety was also an issue in this event.
Potentially. I'm just presenting the facts. Okay?
As presented by Wikipedia.
Do we have a breakdown of events there, or is it just that's where it trails off?
He was with his brother, which, as we know, is a recipe for disasters sometimes.
Can't wait for that bachelor party later this year, by the way.
a bunch of his coaching staff were there too. And yeah, the facts aren't super clear. All we know is he was hanging out with those best bros and he fell through a coffee table and broke 7 ribs.
Like a glass one?
I like to imagine it was a big,
or was it like Matt Foley and like?
Yeah, it's like Matt Foley, right? That's the only coffee table worth remembering.
I like to imagine him and his brother were drunk wrestling and Bob was thrown through the air through a glass coffee table.
Through the air. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Huggins launched by someone.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Let's skip ahead to 2022.
Well, hold on. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you guys had what, Beeline as the coach beforehand. Right. Do you really view Huggins' era as not very successful? Because I think was a very good coach overall, or that was a very good program.
Yeah, so it's a great point. I mean, he got to the Final Four. Half of the players on that team were Beeline guys, so there's a lot of controversy around who.
Right, you guys would be in the tournament like every year, though, right?
Yeah. No. By the way, fantastic. Like good, not great, and he did a lot with a very small amount of resources.
Okay.
In that regard, he gets the utmost respect. He gets a ton out of his players, and that's why I loved him. There's a D at the end of love right there. Every year, you never knew what you'd get, and it would always be like these players you've never heard of, like rising to the top, like Javon Carter, notable dude, now on the Bulls.
Got
awesome.
paid
Yeah.
This offseason.
That's right. So good. But in the past, 3 years, though, you notice a change. He got older, and he missed the tournament 2 out of the 3 years. And every loss, he just talked shit on the players and he wouldn't take any ownership of these losses. And it became
sounds
really
like Boeheim, by the way, the final years of Boeheim. Very similar.
Yeah, I think you hit a point where you're a certain age and you just won't take any of the blame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you think that you don't want to admit that maybe time has passed you by.
And that too.
What
a lot of ego.
What you're doing is, maybe you're not up to date with the newest trends, and you think that your system's going to work forever.
Yeah.
And we know about that guy, right, Doug? You know that we know a little bit about that guy, Mr. Lamoriello.
Oh God. So. Well, yeah, I mean, he's doing his own thing, right? But
he's doing the same shit. He's just getting paid to do it. So
right. And by the way, he's the laziest man ever. But anyway, let's not get off on that.
All right, so let's jump in. This is where it crosses into a different dimension.
I like it.
Before we cross into another dimension, in 2022, Bob's the second winningest active coach of all time, next to Jim Boeheim.
Yeah.
He's had a 40-year career at this 30-year career, 40-year career at this point. He gets
Yeah.
inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's one of the few icons from that golden era for us of like 90s, 2000s.
Yeah.
Like he was one of the last ones still standing, especially after Boeheim retired.
Maybe is still standing. We'll get to that.
No, yeah.
So in 2022, he embraces NIL and the transfer portal and puts together a pretty solid year. Jim Boeheim retires. He becomes the winningest active coach in college basketball. 2023, just this past April, he puts NIL to work. Name, image, likeness for those who might be listening. It's basically you can pay college basketball players now. He goes out.
I mean, you can on top of the table pay college basketball players instead of
Right.
the table.
Exactly.
Pay college basketball players.
So now that's legal, and we embrace it, and we go out and we put together the number one transfer portal class in the nation. We do things I've never seen before. We get guys from top tier programs like Syracuse, Jesse Edwards.
That one hurts, man.
We grabbed the top Pac-12 point guard, Kier Krisa from Arizona, and this just dude named who just plays above the rim, Raekwon Battle from Montana State. And all of a sudden, we have the number one ranked transfer portal class in the nation, which has never happened before.
And this is a really good time to do something like that because of all the extra eligibility that guys got because of COVID.
Yes.
Like Jesse Edwards is like 23, 24. He's a man.
Fifth
at
year.
this point. Yeah.
A bunch of fifth-year players.
Right.
And we're beating out schools like Kansas. We're paying more than them.
Wow.
And it's a combination of like there's these dudes in the background. Oliver Luck, Andrew Luck's dad, is a West Virginia alum. Plus, the dude who owns the Diamondbacks for whatever reason is a big West Virginia guy. So we got money. And all of a sudden we have nice things. We have the best team on paper we've ever had. And I'm over the moon. I'm like, finally, like maybe we sniffed that national championship that we've both times Bob got to the Final Four, by the way, his top player blew out their knee in the Final Four game.
Including Kenyon, right? Kenyon Martin.
Yeah, Kenyon, and then Deshaun Butler.
That's right.
I'm like, this is it. This is our year. You know? You
Drink.
You know that feeling? You know that feeling, guys?
I finished my beer for that one.
All is well and good in the heading into the off season. And then in let's see, May 8th. You guys already talked about this, but Bob goes.
Oh, let's break it down.
Bob gets. This is what I imagine happened. Bob gets a call on his cell phone. He's sitting at home on his Lazy Boy recliner. He's had probably 5 whiskeys, and it's a familiar voice.
Well, I mean, it was only 3 p.m. So
yeah, it's shock. It's like the Shock Jock radio show of Cincinnati. This guy named like Bill Cunningham. Or something.
So it was like 9 a.m. Okay.
Yeah.
it was the morning zoo.
And these shock jocks called Bob on his cell. There's a lot of speculation on whether Bob knew he was on the radio or not. But they start bringing up the Xavier versus Cincinnati crosstown shootout games, which is like one of the biggest rivalries in college sports.
Yeah.
And Bob goes on to talk about how Xavier fans would throw plastic dildos at him during games. And the shock jocks are like, ooh, sounds like they start making like.
Well, hold on. Was this before or after the Bills Patriots incident? It's
before, way before.
It's a long running tradition. Okay.
Allegedly, yes. And
wait, so what's the Bills Patriots tradition?
You don't remember? You don't remember that, dude? When was that? 5 years ago, maybe. Like Gronk made a catch or something, like by the Bills end zone, and just suddenly out of the crowd, like this, giant ass dildo
lands at his feet.
Oh my god!
Just on the field.
Yeah.
And cheers to Buffalo, by the way.
I mean, talk about rabid fan bases. West Virginia fans, Bills fans. I love them both.
Do you consider yourself a Bills fan because of your friends who are just absolute diehards? I know you've been up there a few times, right? You've been to Orchard Park.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone who goes to the Ralph in Orchard Park over 6 times, you're going to love the Bills a little bit. But I'm Giants all the way if you put a gun to my head.
Okay.
All right. So they bring
Anyway,
up,
dildos.
dildos are flying in Cincinnati at Bob's feet, and he says, I'm not going to say the word on your radio show, so we can keep this on Spotify or wherever you put it. But he calls them Catholic, and then the 3-letter F.
Yeah, I think we know.
He goes,
Everybody.
yeah, they're the Catholic Fs, and the shock jocks, if you listen to it, are really hilarious. They're like, oh, and and there's that pause where everyone's like, they're like, did he mean to say that? Like, was that a Freudian slip? And then he's like, and then he says it again the second time, just like seals his fate.
Not that I endorse any of this behavior, but is this online anywhere?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
100%. You just type in.
Again, I don't think we can play it on the air, but
on your work computer, and you'll find it.
Oh, they don't care about that.
So all right, we got another. This launches a dispute between Bob. Oh, question?
Yeah, no, I because I read the wiki before the show, and in the paragraph about this particular incident, it has the following line, and a lot of people, and it's about how everybody was mad. Hi, Tommy, I'll drink.
Hey, Tommy.
It was about how, the backlash that was deserved, obviously, of these comments, and they were like, there's a lot of backlash. But it also says, while others argued that firing Huggins would be an overreaction since the inappropriate slur that Huggins used has been used for decades in banter amongst the fans of rival teams. That's in Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So I know they're going for like a heated rivalries, but like, is that an excuse?
I'm big on the West Virginia basketball message boards. And
nice.
the discussions that launched out of this was one of the most interesting, illuminating things about America I've ever seen. And West Virginia.
It got ugly, huh?
And here's the really unfortunate part. Like, he hurt his reputation, but I think he also set the state of West Virginia back in time in people's minds to what everyone thinks it is, which is a bunch of ignorant, poor people.
Cousin fuckers.
Okay.
Cletus the slapjaw yokel.
Yeah. Which sucks because I lived there for a couple of years and there's some really great people. It's a beautiful state. And
dude, I went and visited West Virginia in Morgantown, and it's a nice college town. Although I don't know how the fuck people get around there in the wintertime because it's built on the side of a hill, and that's why they're called the fucking Mountaineers, right? And there's like a train system to get you around campus because you can attest to all this, John. You went there, right? But that was the deterrent of why I loved everything about West Virginia. I was like, I don't want to go to West Virginia because it's West Virginia, but I can get past West Virginia. And then I went to campus and I'm like, this is going to suck in the wintertime, like trying to get to class. Yeah. So
it's like San Francisco, but covered in more poop.
More poop.
Yeah. But very similar.
That's impressive. That's a lot of feces.
How
does Morgantown have more poop than San Francisco?
Sorry. San Francisco has way more poop.
Like, are there animals pooping too in West Virginia?
No, I'm sorry. It's the beer cans and they're both really filthy, I guess was my point. But that was inaccurate. San Francisco technically has way more poop.
San Francisco has a fucking app dedicated to human feces.
Yes, I used to live there. I lived there too. I used to use that app.
Right. I mean, it's ridiculous.
What is the name of that app? Like Pooper?
I think it's like human poop app, or I don't know.
We called it we called it the Plopler radar.
The Plopler radar.
Or something.
So, quick question though for you: if in San Francisco, not to digress too much, why did you leave? Because I can tell you from my perspective, we have a lot of clients there, and I used to go to San Francisco 2 to 3 times a year to visit clients, and I haven't been in 2 to 3 years because the last time I was there, I saw about 3 people shoot up heroin in broad daylight and a bunch of human dumps on the ground. And I'm like, why? Like, what is going on here?
It's a mess.
You're asking me why did I live there or why did I leave?
Leave.
That's a really great question. I was there for a pretty good job for a long time, and I was enjoying myself. But what you just described was getting on my nerves. I also wanted to own real estate, so I just I couldn't. It was unattainable there.
Yeah,
But
it's
the straw that broke the camel's back was I was waiting for a bus one day to get home, and a unhoused gentleman came up behind me and gave me a wet willy right in my ear. And I turned around, fist clenched, and I'm like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" And I look at this guy, and he's like covered in like slime and feces, and I'm like, I can't even punch this guy. Like, I'm really upset, and I feel like I would get hurt more if I touched him right now.
yeah.
So,
That would be the end for me too.
uh,
That-
oh, and then he called me a Catholic F minus the Catholic part.
Yep.
So let's get back to the radio show here with Bob Huggins.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a national story, right?
Yes.
John's rearranging the room, but you know, and I think I can speak for Mike too. When everybody heard this story, they're like, "That's Bob Huggins, right? He's kind of has this reputation of being and a lot of coaches do, but and I'm not defending it, but it's like were you surprised, Mike, when you heard that story? I wasn't.
No, not
Yeah.
not at all.
I wasn't shocked, but I was incredibly upset. I'm like, we have this
Yeah.
perfect transfer portal class. I'm like, this is the end. But this is where Bob's power comes into play. He goes
Yeah.
head to head with the president. President wanted him fired, and the board of governors wanted him fired for that. He comes out on top.
Teflon Bob.
They reduce his contract to 1 year, dock his pay $1 million. So from
Yep.
$4.5 million to $3.5 million. He's paid a shit ton still. And he has to go to LGBTQ training. So I think we covered that on the last episode or where we talked about Bob. But yeah, so he gets out and we don't lose any players.
And the timeline is what, early May?
May 8th.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm like, okay, that was a close one. So fast forward to June 16th, 2023. Bob gets charged with a DUI in Pittsburgh outside of a Taylor Swift concert. He was not at the concert, but there was a very real chance that he could have mowed down a bunch of Taylor Swift fans. Thank God he didn't.
And by the way, when the story first broke, I think everybody thought that he was in that concert, right? That
Yes.
he just got absolutely lit because he's a Swiftie.
Exactly.
And honestly, I respected him for that. He's being his true self. But
I mean, him and Aaron Rodgers, both Swifties, you know?
is Aaron really? I didn't know that. Are we going to find out on Hard Knocks?
Dude, you didn't see all the coverage like a month ago when he was going
No.
to the freaking concerts and he was singing all the words and they were like everyone was videotaping him and putting it. Yeah, he's a Swiftie.
To be honest, like I should be paying attention to the guy more than I do but he is such a jackass. Anyway, we're going to have all
about Huggins or Rodgers.
Oh, yeah, you know who I'm talking about. But we're gonna be talking about him all year. Anyway,
so the police observe him standing outside of his Escalade or something, like really nice car,
big ass SUV, right?
Owned by the university, by the way.
University property.
Yep, university property.
And he was kind of on a median.
Yeah, so he hit the median and he had a shredded tire. And the police, when they showed up, he was standing outside of the vehicle and he was kind of like staggering, stumbling around the car. And the cops put on their lights and they're like, "Sir, please move your vehicle off the road." Oh, he's causing a massive traffic jam.
Right.
He gets in the car.
Well, what time of day is this? Do you know?
This is like, I think it's around like 6 or 7 p.m.
Okay.
He starts going back and forth and he can't get the car to move in the right direction. So the cops walk up to the car window and he is just like a alcohol vapor machine. And they're like, "Oh God." So this
is a large drunk man.
Very large drunk man. They look in the car. There's a bag full of like many, many beer cans.
Let's talk about the bag. It was you could make the argument it's responsible of him to not just be throwing empties out the window.
Doug, I love what you're thinking there. Let's put a pin in that.
Okay.
He absolutely fails the field sobriety test. His breathalyzer test came back with a 0.21, so almost 3 times the legal limit. Dude is smashed.
Wow.
And they start asking
off of beer. A 6'3", 350-pound man
Off
smashed
beers.
off a beer.
Yeah, that takes effort. Like cans of
Like
do you
that
know-
had
do
to
you
be
know-
like a garbage bag, not like a
Yeah.
little, I figure like a Target bag, like a little shopping bag. No, this couldn't have been a shopping bag full of beer.
Because,
Unless
like,
he's like smashing him on his head.
Remember that legend that Andre the Giant drank 100 beers in one sitting? And then there's the Wade Boggs thing, right?
Yep.
Do you remember what was the count on Wade Boggs?
He would drink 100 beers or something on a flight. Have you ever seen the Always Sunny in
And-
Philadelphia episode?
What was the count on that? Was it 100 or was it like 30, like 40 or 50? I forget. But either way, large man,
So
probably
actually,
light beers or something, right? He's not pounding these things, right?
I did a calculation online. There's like you can put in your body weight, blood alcohol content. It can spit out how many drinks you had. I think I ran those numbers. It came out to like 28 drinks or something.
You really came prepared today, man. This is outstanding stuff.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
I wish I knew less about this stuff. Honestly, it's not been a year. So,
but that's what this show is for: pain.
Yes, the cops
and therapy. This is a session.
I hope Bob hears this someday. Stops what he's doing right now. We'll get to that real quick. This is important though. So the cops ask him a series of questions. Sir, where are you coming from? His first answer was like Sherdsville, which is like a made-up town that doesn't exist, like Sherdsville. They're like, sir, where are you coming from?
Turdsville.
He's Sherdsville. They're like, okay, sir, do you know where you are right now?
Shark Town, baby.
Like, sir, where are you right now? And he goes, Columbus. He thinks he's in Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
Do you guys know how?
Which is about 250 miles north of Pittsburgh.
250. It's 185
south.
Is it south?
Yeah.
I don't think it's south.
No, it's east.
It's in the middle of Ohio. Pittsburgh's
this is our year. It's not. This is our geography. I think all of us failed.
It's east,
I know.
guys.
Look.
Northeast.
I thought Cincinnati was called the Wildcats, so it's all good.
Guys, the point is, have you ever been so drunk that you thought you were 185 miles away from where you really were?
In a different state.
So, all right, Bob gets arrested for DUI.
Do you know why he was in Pittsburgh at all? Like, does he have a connection there?
No one knows.
Like he doesn't live there, right?
No, he was in Columbus earlier in the day.
Wow, you guys.
So he was.
We were all fucking wrong, dude. This is really sad. Actually, Doug, you were
It's
the
southwest of Pittsburgh, man.
It is.
Yeah.
I thought it was north, and John said it was east. But Pittsburgh is east of Columbus.
Pittsburgh is east of Columbus.
Yes. Then I was totally wrong, and you guys are fucking geography geniuses. So fuck me. The O'Keefe Atlas brothers.
No, don't fuck with me on maps. So it was like a basketball camp, right?
Yeah, he was at a basketball camp in Columbus apparently earlier
during the day.
So the police keep asking him what happened between Columbus and Pittsburgh, and he's blasted, and he's like, oh, hang on, he was like, I went to Burger King. So the only piece of information we have is that he had a Burger King receipt that he got out of his car and showed the police.
Where was it from? Like, what town? Was it from Shardsville?
Look at that.
Let me quiz you guys.
There really is a Shark Town, Ohio.
Sherdsville, Pennsylvania.
Turdsville, PA. Famous Civil War battle there.
So the receipt was from 1 p.m. and it was at a Burger King in North Pittsburgh, which means he went to Burger King, and then 6 hours later, he got a DUI outside of the Taylor Swift concert. And no one knows what happened in between.
My goodness. But huge garbage bag full of empties.
Huge. All right, let's keep going. There's a couple more facts here, and we're going to get to some juicy stuff. And then we'll wrap up, I promise.
No, this is great.
Huggins releases, the next day, a statement via the university Twitter and other university communication platforms, announcing his resignation from West Virginia. In the statement, he announced his retirement. a special portal opens up for all the players for 30 days because the coach did what he did. They're allowed to leave. The other interesting thing that I learned about this is that if you're a grad student, like you graduated your university, you can transfer pretty much at any time, which I thought is an interesting college basketball learning. So if you're a fifth year guy. So Bob is done. He's resigned. He's retired. His daughter, Jackie Huggins, releases a tweet blasting the university saying, "My dad's not an alcoholic. He just did what 90% of us have done in our life. Drive 3 times the legal limit." Hope that's
drive blackout drunk from
Columbus to Pittsburgh and stopped at Burger King.
Exactly.
Absolutely blackout.
I have to say, I question, like, the alcoholism is clear, right? But I question the man's decision-making capabilities,
right?
Because he chose to eat at Burger King. I haven't eaten at Burger King.
Hold on. I have not eaten at Burger King or McDonald's either, unless I've been really drunk in like the last two decades.
I haven't eaten at Burger King probably since I was a teenager, and I haven't eaten at McDonald's unless I've been drunk since I was a teenager. So to choose Burger King over any of these other places that you could have possibly eaten at. I mean, you were in Columbus. You could have stopped at like Skyline. You could have stopped at like Bob's Big Boy. I mean, he probably likes that, And he went to Burger King. Come on. Continue, John. I'm sorry.
No problem. I agree with everything you just said. So his daughter releases a statement on Twitter, and one quick funny thing I'll call out from it. And she's ranting about the media, distorting the facts, blah, blah, blah. And she says, beer cans all over the car, quote unquote. The cans were in bags, and they weren't all beer cans. There is a small group in Morgantown who knows my dad collects cans to recycle.
Yes. This is the good stuff.
Yeah.
I love this rationalization stuff that people come out with.
Yeah.
Well, God, never mind. Go ahead.
So anyway, that's just a funny sidebar. The family melts down publicly, and she deletes the post. But the thing that really broke my heart starts to happen, which hold
on. So the university received a resignation letter on like the day or two after.
Hang on. We're going to go deep on that in just a moment. That's the end of the story. And by the way, the story's not over. So we're not going to have a conclusion on this episode, but players start transferring. We lost our 2 best guys from last year into the portal. I thought this was interesting. Trey Mitchell went to Kentucky and rumored got $800,000 to go play there for a year. Joe Toussaint goes to Texas Tech, rumored for $400,000. He was our like 6th man. So like these dudes are getting paid these days, which is really
how do those payments like rank? Is that are guys getting a few mil for this?
There's no cap right now.
Yeah,
they're talking about putting in a cap.
Is it transparent though? Like you can look up who gets what? No? Wow.
There's going to have to be a cap at some point in time.
Yeah.
It's what I've always talked about. Every single team should have the same, like if you're starting point guard for any Division I team, it should be $1 million. You want to talk about parity? You will have parity right away. The problem is like you alluded to before, John, is the donors. They will, they will make sure that their team can have as much money so that West Virginia and what's the other West Virginia college that I can't think of now? Marshall can't, they'll never be able to compete because Marshall doesn't have the boosters that West Virginia does. I digress.
Exactly.
Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not transparent, you're absolutely right, Mike. Like,
right.
And what you're saying though, what you're suggesting is kind of like what like the baseball international free agent market, like every team gets a certain amount of dollars or something. Am I correct on that? There's something like that.
NBA free agency where you got and West Virginia actually maintained those 3 core transfers that they paid a lot. We don't know how much they got paid.
So Edwards is still there.
Edwards, Battle, and Kriisa are still there as of today.
And I'm sure they have to give the money back if they don't play for that season if they've collected any.
No.
Wow.
So if you fucking get paid and then you decide to transfer because the coach leaves, you keep that money and then you go get paid again?
So it depends on the payment terms of the contract, to my understanding. And I'm not super clear on this, but like if you get the money, it's gone. Right? The university is not getting that back, or the donors aren't. So there's a dude actually on West Virginia in the transfer portal that didn't play last year because he couldn't get a waiver. He got paid, and he's about to transfer. So he got free money, never played a minute at West Virginia. His name's Jose Perez.
Good job, Jose.
Yeah, he's just collecting. He's like 26 too. All right. So there's a mass exodus on the roster. We lose all our depth pieces. All of a sudden, the team goes from incredible to we've got 3 really good players and then a bunch of question marks. So,
did you guys name a replacement coach right away?
Yeah, no, it took some time. There's a lot of controversy there. They almost brought back Beeline. There's a rumor that Bob Huggins and crew stopped that from happening. And this is where we start to tie into extreme narcissism by Bob. I don't think he wanted someone to step in and actually be successful.
Yeah.
So they name his graduate assistant guy interim coach for a year, Josh Eilert. So we're like, whatever. We got Josh Eilert. The players like him. Whatever. Let's move forward. July 2nd.
Wait, there's more? I can't believe there's more.
Oh, dude.
This is where it gets really wacky, and I'll go quick. I know we're almost out of time.
We got time. We got time. We can go over.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
on July 2nd, 2023, a letter sent to West Virginia. Huggins, through his attorney, David A. Campbell, claimed that he never signed a resignation letter and never communicated a resignation to anyone at WVU. Huggins threatened legal action if he was not given his job back.
Okay.
It's one of the craziest stories right now.
So he's basically claiming
and you didn't mention like kind of not my favorite part because this is bad, but like I think the most notable part of that part of the story that he's blaming his wife for sending the email.
So no, so underneath that letter, there's like a detailed report where he's like, he claims he's like, right after the incident, I checked myself into a rehab center. He's like, my wife sent that email noting my resignation, which doesn't count in the terms of my employee agreement as a resignation. So he's basically throwing his wife under the bus, which is a ludicrous claim. He also publicly sat with the players and told them, I'm not going to be your coach next season. So there's that whole fact that he's ignoring as well. And I think the reason
Did you say publicly? Like what does that mean?
Like he was all over the news, like, hey, like everyone, he like had a Zoom call with his players.
Okay.
Guys, I'm not going to be your coach next season.
Okay.
So there's like 15 witnesses of that. He throws his wife under the bus saying she resigned on his behalf, so it shouldn't count. His lawyers, he has like 3 lawyers, and the university is like, which one of these lawyers is representing you? And one of the other guys is like, I have no fucking idea what's going on. I quit. He's like, I'm not part of this.
Yeah.
And now we're in like a standoff where he's threatening to and the reason why I think he's doing this it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
But there's rumors that the DUI is going to get thrown out in court.
How?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
How?
Because I'll tell you how.
The cops fucked up?
Well, John, you tell me how, because I don't want to overstep, but I can tell you what I know about DUIs. So I can tell you this. I've never gotten a DUI. I stopped. We've all had too many drinks and driven. And the last time I drove drunk, I got so smashed right before I moved to California, and I didn't know where I was going. If I had gotten pulled over, I would have gone to jail. And I drove what I thought was a street, and it was someone's lawn. Thank God it was someone's driveway, and it was like a long driveway. And I realized,
holy shit, you Billy Joel'd it. Wow.
Yeah.
So I slammed on the brakes, and I was like, okay, what is going on? Like I drove home, and I was like, I'm never doing that again. And I have Ubered ever since then.
Right.
But that was when I lived on Long Island, and ashamed of that. Should have never done that, but being honest. And no one got hurt. Nothing bad thankfully happened. And I was just a wake up call, never doing it again.
I don't think anyone's an angel on this issue at all.
Sure.
With the advent of rideshare, that's a very good point. But also, when you're getting paid that much money by the state, why do you not have a driver? Like, why?
I've never understood that, but this is how
I think it's like a boomer thing, right? Like they're just so fucking attached to their
it's an ego. It's an ego maniacal
right.
thing. It's an ego thing. Like I'm Bob Huggins. I can drink this many, and I don't think anyone ever goes out with the intent to get so drunk that they can't drive. I think it just,
That's
if you're
fair.
an alcoholic, you
That's
just
fair.
don't have
It
you don't have a
spirals.
stopper. But what happens is you find these attorneys that specialize in DUI litigation. And what I learned on Long Island was the attorney had a really good relationship with one of the judges, and you just pay the attorney enough money, and the judge will, drop
Yeah.
the charges. And
It's there's a different tier of justice for the wealthy, right?
yeah, I think so.
Fortunately,
Unfortunately,
unfortunately,
right?
The other thing that's
So
weird is he used his accelerated rehabilitation in Pennsylvania, which
I'm familiar with that.
the same.
Yeah,
But
I burned
shocked-
that one too.
I'm shocked that you can use that in multiple states because he probably used
Oh, really?
It's statutory, right? It's got to be statutory.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. So I could screw up in other states. I've only burned my Connecticut AR.
That's right, Doug. You got some eligibility in other states.
Nice. It's been a long time. I think I used my accelerated rehabilitation in the 90s. But
I remember.
It's good to know.
There's this big statement from Bob explaining why he should have his job back and how he didn't resign. You can go read it online. It's hilarious to read.
Oh yeah, I've seen the statement.
Well, I think he had enough time to devise a plan, right? And I think he's 69 years old. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I think if he doesn't get his job back, in his mind, he's gonna have to wait at least 1 year, maybe 2. And he's going to have to take he's going to have to do what Patino did. He's going to have to take a really lower D1 school program over, and he's going to have to keep his nose clean. And then he's going to have to wait, however many more years to get back into a major program. And I think at 69, at least Patino was in good shape with his lazy eye, but he's I think 75 now and just took over St. John's, right? So he had the willing.
Huggins actually.
Is he? He's only 69? Okay, so he was a couple years ahead of him.
Wow, Patino's not 70 yet. Wow.
I thought he was like 75.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think Huggins sees the writing on the wall. If I'm going to go all in on this, trying to get my job back, and if I can't get it back, then I'll just go drink myself to death, right?
And to add on that, and I don't want to steal your thunder, John, but the article I saw in the Defector breaking this whole mess down is that. Or in the comments or something. The theory is from like a legal standpoint, even though it's like bullshit, he's going to angle for a wrongful termination suit. So at the very least, he's looking for a payout.
Yes, there's a theory that he wants more money, but I think he legitimately thinks he can get his job back.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Like that doesn't surprise me with the ego, but
he doesn't need the money.
No. But he probably got counseled to go for it.
But you got to think. So I was having drinks with a buddy last night, and the story's going to make sense. So bear with me. So him and his old partner had a company together in 2018. My buddy's in his mid 40s. His partner's in his late 70s right now. And so they sold they did a buyout kind of like merger, and so the older guy got bought out, the younger guy merged with the new company, and there was like a deal, terms of the deal, 5-year earn out for the older guy, which would take him to 79. And he's telling me now that the guy, he's fighting him on the contract because he made it to 79 and he's going to keep living, and he wants more money to come in. So to your point, like you could say he has enough money, but when you get that old, like that's all you really got. Money's like oxygen to them. What else? They don't have their youth.
There's a certain lifestyle, right?
Yeah, and not even that, but like you can't. What else are you doing, right? Like you got to make that. That's your what you're
TV?
leaving your legacy, right? That's
he's not going to get hired, but
no,
you nailed it. The key word here is legacy, and what Bob is doing right now is slitting its throat in front of everyone and murdering it on the street. He threw his wife under the bus.
I know.
He's suing his university, his alma mater in the town he grew up in, and he's just tarnishing his life. Like he could have after the DUI arrest and resignation, he could have taken a year off, like you said, and come back as like an emeritus, senior advisor, maybe even the head of athletic department for West Virginia or something. That is all off the table now. West Virginia responded to him being like, "We will go to fucking war with you and take you down, motherfucker, if you don't pull this back and pull out the lawsuit." And that's where we are today. We don't have an end to this story yet. It's a horrible look for us. It's going to hurt recruiting. It's going to hurt the players' mentality. And how about the guy he volleyed or not volleyed? He vied to get replaced as his replacement, Josh Eilert. He has to be thinking like, "What the fuck, Bob? You put me in this position, and now you're saying I'm not good enough. You want your job back? Like, what the hell?"
Yeah, that's messed up too. How long has he been an assistant?
17 years under Bob Huggins.
That's messed up. Do you think the wife was on board with this flimsy excuse? Yeah,
100%.
because she wants the money too, right?
Right. There's no way you throw your fucking wife under the bus who you live with unless she's on board. I can attest to that.
Is she the first wife, by the way, or is he like a serial wife guy?
First wife. I mean, look.
Wow. Like same wife all like this whole time?
Yeah, he has one lover in life, and that's himself and alcohol. Sorry, I said
That's
one.
two.
Two. Sorry, it's 9:30. I had a beer. I think this is how Bob must think.
You should have more.
You should have 27 more and go to a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah.
I got to get on a flight like an hour.
Yeah, no, he's flying to JFK later, so
Nice.
let's
LAX.
Wade Boggs it.
Are you at LAX currently?
No, I'm in my friend's
Yeah,
apartment.
that looks like the holding room in LAX.
It does.
Yeah, I'm already detained. I saw an imaginary person on the plane. I thought it was Bob Huggins.
It was a lizard, Bob Huggins.
Yeah.
Imagine having to sit next to Bob Huggins and coach.
Did you guys see that video of the lady who saw the?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Do you
His
think
eyes blinked like a lizard. They let her off the plane, dude. I would have been like, "Get me off this plane too." It didn't take off for like another 6 hours because of her.
I feel like,
like the best part was when everybody went.
Yeah.
for
That
the invisible
motherfucker right there.
Everybody's
Is it real?
What is going on? Like 1 out of 3 flights, I see someone get walked off the plane saying weird shit like that. Like 1 out of 3.
Yeah. I had an old guy have a tantrum on the last flight I was on because they moved his bag a little over on the overhead. Absolute tantrum.
Did he try to shake your hand?
My hand?
That's my favorite video. The guy who's like, "Let me shake your hand," and he's getting kicked off the airplane. Put that
The worst.
My favorite is when the Asian guy got like tackled on the United plane and dragged off the plane. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
And he was like left bloodied. That was terrible, but it was like
that was awful.
excessive. It was excessive. You guys don't remember that one? That was like the one that started all this bullshit.
Yeah, like I vaguely remember that. I forget the circumstances though. But
he was like, "I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor," and he like slammed his head on the ground and dragged him off the plane. I don't remember why it happened, but there was definitely an apology issued from the CEO of United. So,
well, John, what's your prediction on the end game here?
Well, I'll tell you what I want. I want to be able to say "Vaya con Dios, Bob Huggins." Bob, call it quits. Go away. Try to save what's left of your legacy. Go to rehab. Try to live a few more years, my friend. Help bring some better players to West Virginia. Please, God. That's the right thing to do. You're done. What do I think is going to happen? I think there's going to be a drawn-out legal process, and it's really going to hold up the program.
It's going to hurt everyone.
5 years.
Yeah, like no one's going to win.
no one ever does win.
This is our year.
Getting the lawyers involved, right? Exactly.
No one wins.
Gentlemen, this has been
a good show.
A wonderful show. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Do we, besides Vaya con Dios to Bob Huggins, do we have anyone else to say Vaya con Dios?
I think that's perfect. John nailed it.
John nailed it.
Well, he's not gone. I want to say that.
Well, he's kind of gone. He's not coming back. I mean, he's just slowly ruining your basketball program for the next few years.
That's the scariest prospect, is if somehow he does come back.
I mean, you guys played well when he was there. Maybe he gets his shit together. I don't see how he comes back. I don't see how the university could allow him to come back, because it would just be, they would be such a joke. You couldn't,
right?
You know, like you couldn't. No one would want to go there because like there's no stability. They got to have him stay gone, and he, I think, has to recognize that too. And I think at some point someone's going to be like, Bob, you're wasting a shit ton of money here. What are you doing? Like, you're not going to get your job back. So maybe he is angling for more money to just have them, okay, I'll go away if you give me $6 million or whatever. And then, okay, I'm dropping the case. Here, we've settled out of court. I love my wife again. I love alcohol again. Let's go to a Taylor Swift concert. So,
I mean, that's how I feel after having 1.5 beers today. So I'm going to see if there's a Taylor Swift concert around.
I think you should have to. John, did you finish your beer?
I did.
I think, Doug, you should have to slam that before we go. That's what we should.
My second beer, just for clarification.
Yeah. Yes, okay. Bio con Dios to that beer.
Oh, there's a can over here. Let me make sure there's no beer in there. One of those big California cans. Oh, there is some beer in here. Shit.
Slammed.
Oh, hey, guys. Thank you. It's an honor to be on this podcast. I don't know how many people this reaches, but thank you for hearing me out on Bob Huggins. I know it's a sad story, but hopefully people got some shred of entertainment out of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Thanks for coming on. Please share this everywhere. We need the views.
Yes.
And I want you back, actually. Yeah, you did a great job. So
you did a great job, John. Thank you so much.
This is about as deep as I go on sports. So, yeah.
No, I want to have you back on. We're going to have a Bills Mafia episode, I think. We need to have you back.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I could go we should bring TK in for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Only if you guys are in the same room and one of you gets slammed through a table.
Yes.
Can I
That's how we start the show.
I'm going to tease one thing. We slammed a table in like 2007, which was way before it became a thing.
It wasn't even a mafia back then.
And it was at the Ralph. Or no, yeah. We could talk more about this later, but yeah, I would love to.
We'll have you back, John.
Teaser episode. Actually, right before a Jets-Bills game.
Let's do it. Yes. Opening day.
That's right.
Well, appreciate you guys. I'm going to wrap it up here.
Yep.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks for watching.
We will see you next time.
Adios.
All right. I think I may have kicked John off when I stopped recording, or did he just log off?
He might have thought, he's out. But
okay.